But that show it was hard, but it wasn't. And when I say that, I mean, like, that's my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2,000 people out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to go out, you want to rock it, right? Like, you want to nail this, and you can hear the crowd behind the stage. I remember I was jumping up and down with my guitar, and I was just like, yeah, man, it's going to be awesome, right?
Welcome to the Carla Show, a weekly podcast designed to dig into the lives of everyday people. People who are making a positive impact, people who have risen above and overcome obstacles. Insights and stories from ordinary individuals who inspire us all towards the truly extraordinary. Here's your host.
Hey, it's Carla, and I just had a great conversation with Tyler Babiuk. And Tyler is cool because he's local and he's making music. And it's just neat because I also am a musician, and I don't make my own music, but I like to sing and I like to play a little bit. And it was just cool to talk to him, how he's like using that creative as an outlet, like his music and stuff as an outlet. And the first time I saw Tyler, he was at the Brett Kissel concert. He was actually opening for Brett Kissel. So that was really cool. And we talked about that, like that experience of having all these people there and the lights and all that stuff. Super fun. So it was cool to talk to him. He shared a story too about some of the obstacles in his life. When he was young, his parents got divorced and how that impacted him. So it was just really cool to talk to Tyler. And the fact that he's so local made it just even more special because I grew up in Edson. This is my hometown, and this is now his hometown. So we had a really good conversation, and I know you're going to enjoy it. All right, well, I have Tyler Babiuk on here, and I connected with Tyler because he's a musician, and I remember, Tyler, one of the first times that I saw you, you were opening for Brett Kissel, so that was pretty cool. What kind of experience was that, by the way? We'll get into that, but let's just start with tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, Tyler, where you grew up, that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm Tyler Babiuk, and thank you so much for having me, Carla. This is a privilege. Your show has been awesome. I've been watching lots of it.
Thank you.
I come from Spruce Grove, Alberta. Half my life was there, and then I moved to Edson in grade 6, and I've been here ever since. Like everybody knows, I'm sure, I'm a very big musician. I play lots. Music's my life. Very social person, lots of friends, love to be with people. And I think music's a big one for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I don't know if you call me a musician, but I studied music. So I'm a teacher. I have my teaching degree, and I have a major in music. But I didn't get to do. I'm a musician, but I didn't get to do the fun stuff. I had to just sing classical. So I had to stand in the arc of the grand piano and sing, this sort of opera style. That's kind of how I learned. So no microphones, projecting. But then also in my church, I got to sing with a microphone and with drums and guitars. And so that was super fun. I will say, though, I sing the odd time, but I went through quite a long period of time with having babies and all the stuff that I was doing that I didn't get to sing much. But I love music. And it's interesting because when I teach my fitness classes, I'm all about the music. The music's got to be upbeat. It's got to be loud, So I actually
it sets the mood, right?
Yeah.
It sets everything. It kind of guides the way you're feeling. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, music is I think it affects everybody to some capacity. I think it'd be hard pressed to find somebody that wouldn't say that there was a song or something about music that has affected them. But I'm curious, Tyler, how did you get into music? Was it just something did you start as a kid? Did it kind of happen later on in your life? Did you do music in school? How did that happen?
Well, actually, it started very young. I was kind of the kid that would I was 4 or 5 years old. I was grabbing hangers out of the closet. Because I'm actually a drummer, so I can go into that and later on or something. But I started as a drummer. I didn't know how to play guitar. I didn't sing. I didn't do anything. I'm a drummer at heart. I'd be the kid that would grab hangers and find big fat pillows, and I'd turn the hangers like this, and I'd be playing with them to get a fat sound out of it. And I'd grab mom's pots and pans and do things like that. And so, actually, I was a hockey player too in my life, and my really good friend in Spruce Grove, his dad, he was a musician, still is, and I actually still see him and play with him to this day. But I went over for maybe it was after a hockey game or something. It was a kind of a friends get together, and I went downstairs, and there was this drum set there, and I was just blown away. It was for kids' first time at Disneyland, right? Whoa, what's that? I want to try those out, right? But of course, I'm nervous, and I can't touch my buddy's dad's drum set. So then my friend went and got his dad. His dad come downstairs and said, "We'll get on there and give her, go try." And so he got me going on this little beat or whatever, and I was just I wouldn't stop talking about it and wouldn't stop talking about it. And then my parents went and got me a drum pad, a little drum pad to play on, right? And then it went from a drum pad to a drum set. And then that was probably the greatest thing in the world. I was actually playing a hockey game the day I got the drum set. I couldn't even pay attention to the hockey game because I just wanted to get home and play drums.
Wow.
So it was, so it started there. That's when I was about 6 years old is when I got my first drum kit. It was a little 4-piece PV kit, and
Nice.
that's what I started with. And then, and then I kind of drummed all the way up till I still am drumming, but I think it was around 12, 13 that I got together with a band here in Edson, the young kids, and nobody played the guitar. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll try this instrument out. And then you kind of went from there.
What's your favorite instrument, Tyler? Would you say?
Drums, absolutely. I'm a drummer at heart. I love all instruments, but I mean, if you have Led Zeppelin asked me to come on stage and I could play one instrument with them, it'd be the drums. Right?
Yeah.
So most confident, most comfortable with that one for sure.
Did you get much training, Tyler, or are you sort of more self-taught?
There was training in the beginning. I went to drum lessons for, I don't know, maybe a year, not even. And then I kind of just started playing and picking things up on my own after. Like, same with guitar. Like, I went and got the basics. I got taught what the guitar was. This is kind of your guide where you want to be. And then after that, it just kind of got to the point where I wasn't learning anything too much more in other than theory, maybe, because I'm not theory trained, which is I'm all by ear and feel and right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say I'm more self-taught than I am having lessons or something like that.
Well, it's kind of funny because I always say, like, my husband is very musical, and I always say, like, he's got the talent and I've got the training because he took piano lessons and stuff, and he never did figure out how to read music. But he was so good with his ear that, like he was in band and everything, and the teacher never knew that he actually couldn't read the notes. He just figured it out.
And see, that's funny you say that because I was notorious for that. Because in high school, I was in the school band.
Okay.
And instead of following what the music was, I would decide how it should go. Right. And thank God, my music teacher was so easygoing, or she knew what I was about. And I think she knew that I was able to play, and she knew that I wasn't really following that. I guess she wasn't strict to the point where I was getting in trouble for not following the music. But I think I found a way to make that music still sound good, because I was still playing in like a rudiment or orchestra kind of way.
Yeah.
But I was doing it my own way because I couldn't read the music.
Right. Yeah.
And I got another funny story about that too. When I was in Concordia University, that's where I went to school.
Did you go there, in Edmonton, or which Concordia?
Edmonton, yes.
Oh, I was there too, Tyler, but I would have been probably later than you. But anyways, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, no way. I didn't know that. Cool. I did this guitar class, and it was classical guitar. So a whole different kind of picking, right? Mm-hmm. And it was hard. And I had to get this course if I wanted to graduate, because I was short a half a credit or something in the arts degree. And there was a final piece, and I found this piece of a kid playing it on YouTube. So I practiced for hours and hours. I put the piece of music in front of me, but I'd learn where all the notes were. Mm-hmm. And I memorized where the notes were. So when I went in and did my test, I put the piece of music in front of me, but I already knew the song off by heart and where it was. So I was pretending like I was reading it, but I was just playing the song, and I had it right in time the whole way. I don't know if the guy knew. He might have, but I tried to play it as cool as I could. I passed it.
Nice.
But it was, right there, like, and theory is important. But I mean, I don't know. I just never, ever got into that. And I know some of the biggest musicians in the world are theory trained.
Yeah, it's true. Like, and I have so much theory. Like, I had all this degrees or like in my music and all this theory that I had to take, and like music lessons and all that kind of stuff. And then I go and I play bass too, by the way, Tyler. So I play bass,
cool.
And then my husband, who plays guitar and of course can't read music or whatever, he picks up the bass one day and he's just like all over the place. And I'm like, this is the problem.
Really?
I have got all the training, but he's got the ear for it. And even like harmonies and stuff. I was in choir, but I had a really high voice. So I always would play like, sing like the soprano, first soprano. And so I remember my teacher even saying, and I used to get sore throats all the time, Tyler, because I was singing so high all the time, even though I was trying to do it right, use your breath, whatever. But I was just, anyway, so I was getting sore throats constantly. I'm glad it wasn't COVID back then, or I would have been like in isolation forever. But anyways, I remember like one of my music teachers saying, it'd be really good for you to learn more harmonies, like just to force your ear to find those, because I just would always sing soprano. And so I didn't really pick up on that as much. But anyways, my husband's very good at harmonies, and so I totally get it. And I think that training has its place, absolutely. But I also think that a lot can be achieved by just do it, just start doing it, trial and error.
I think discipline and creativity is so important. Discipline for sure. Stay focused, master your craft. And the thing about music is I don't think anybody will ever master music. Music is just endless possibilities of learning and creating and finding what you want to do with music, right? So, and a lot of big artists out there who are just absolutely brilliant musicians will say they have not mastered it. It's just, there's just so much you can do or get better with.
Yeah.
And no, absolutely.
What's the part about music that you like the best? Like, you like drumming, but is it the rhythm? Is it the beat? Is it writing the lyrics? Is it the melody? Is it putting it all together? Like, what do you like the most, do you think?
I like the whole. So when you're playing with a band, for example, like the first time I ever heard myself and a band actually come together and play, it was like, again, Disneyland, right? Like, it was just, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? Because I'm just playing by myself, right? And then when you actually hear a group of musicians put their stuff together, it just amplifies it, right? It just makes it so much more intriguing, so much more enjoyable. And I think my favorite thing with music is just the soul and the feeling and what you're creating. Like, and especially when you're playing the music that you like to play, like just super, and so I think that's my favorite part of it all, and the musicianship and just the relationship you build with yourself, with your friends on stage, with a crowd if you're playing for them. It's just a tremendous feeling.
Do you prefer to play for a crowd, or do you kind of prefer to be like at home, kind of like in your room, tinkering away and like learning new songs and writing stuff? Like, what would you say if you could pick?
I like to be in the room, practicing and figuring new things out or writing.
Okay.
But I like to take that stuff from the room and go out to the stage and with the people and do it, right? Just to see what come of it, right? I do like entertaining though. I love talking. I love people. I love being on the stage and their reactions to everything. And there's just no other feeling. The connection like that is just, it's the best high in the world.
Yeah. So what's been your biggest, was Brett Kissel the biggest one that you've done, Tyler? Because that was pretty big.
The biggest crowd. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the biggest crowd I played for.
How did that feel? Were you super nervous?
That was a cool one, actually. Cause I'll say right now, when I go by myself with just a guitar, it's a lot more nerve-wracking than if I have my boys up on stage with me, right? Because it's like a team. You're a team and you're going out together, and you have your brothers there with you, right? But that show was hard, but it wasn't. And when I say that, I mean, like, that's my hometown. There's 2,000 people out there. I mean, you want to go out, you want to rock it, right? Like, you want to nail this, and you can hear the crowd behind the stage. I remember I was jumping up and down with my guitar, and I was just like, yeah, man, it's going to be awesome, right?
Adrenaline rush.
I remember, I think the first song I sang at that, I don't remember singing it because I was just so, and they had the big thrust of the stage. You could walk straight out. And I remember when I was like, the end of that show, thank you, Edson, my hometown, blah, blah, and just the roar, right? Just the roar from everybody and the claps and the woohoos. And there's no feeling like that. Like, I think I was shaking rocked or jittery for, a whole week after that.
Awesome.
And then I got to go sit in the green room with Brett Kissel and hang out, right? So that was the other cool thing.
Yeah. And
I have been fortunate enough in my life so far with music to hang out with a lot of established musicians that are, they do it for a career. And it's just, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
I think anybody who's been on the stage and connecting with people, because I'm the same as you, Tyler. Like, I'm definitely, a very I'm an obvious extrovert. I love people. I love connecting with people, and I love doing podcasts like this. Like, this is all like my favorite thing. So when you talk about like the feeling of the crowd, or like, you know, even that energy and stuff, like I totally get it. And how much more when you have music as well, you know, like you're not just talking, but like there's music playing, and there's that reaction from the crowd, like it's even more intense, right? And then maybe there's lights, and like it's pretty awesome. Like I bet that gets like addicting. Hey, like you probably, do you feel almost like, oh, I want more of that, or do you feel like that was cool, but I'm good for a while now? Like, how do you react to that when you?
Oh no, it's like, let's keep going. When's the next one?
Right. Okay.
Right, because one, I'm doing what I love. Two, I get to do what I love for the people and myself, and it's just it's an addiction. It's a very good addiction. It's a very good place to be, and I am very, very fortunate enough to have the talent with music and be able to do that, because I mean, music has helped me in so many ways. It soothes the soul. It's amazing. So I can't I don't know what I would do without music, for sure.
Yeah, and why country, Tyler? Why did you pick country? You just like country, or it just resonates with you more?
I think my voice fits the country a little more.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a complete country artist. Like, I'm more of a southern rock kind of mixed with country, like a country rock kind of artist.
Okay.
But I think it wasn't even really a choice. I was just writing music, and the way that music came to, like, the way when it was finalized, it sounded like a country song.
Yeah. It
was just a natural way of writing, right? So I'm like, oh, maybe this is where I fall into for writing. I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a country artist. It was more of, I was writing songs and playing and making riffs on my guitar. And when I'd finish a song and play it for somebody, usually mom and dad get to hear it first, right?
Yeah.
And then it was just, that's kind of the category or genre it fell into. And so I just kind of kept going with that. And because I'm a big classic rock guy too. Like, I'm a rock country mix, right? So if you actually, some of my songs that are up on Apple Music or Spotify, some sound like super country, like a song called Wear Out These Shoes is country as ever. And then you take a song like Vanny Field, which I wrote about my hometown. That song it's got a rock edge to it, but you can still feel a countryness in it as well. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's because I haven't found my place yet exactly where I want to be for genre wise, but it's just the way I write.
But I think genres are so mixed too. Like even in fitness, right? It's like, it used to be like you'd have a yoga class, you'd have a bar class, you'd have a boot camp. But now it's like, it's all mixed, right? Like, you're going to be doing kickboxing in your boot camp class, and at the end you're going to be doing some stretches that kind of look like yoga. And like, so I think with music it's quite similar. Like, the genres start to run together a lot more. You know, like when I turn on the country music station, I'm like, is this pop? Is this country? Like, is this rap? Like, what is this? You know, and it's just really mixed right now. Yeah,
it's totally is. The music industry now, I don't think there's any specific, you need to play it like this. I think that everything's just kind of like, like you just say on the country stations now, like, you're not hearing a song that's pure country like a guy like Clint Black. You're hearing, it sounds like you're having a Eminem mixed with a, Florida Georgia Line or whatever. These, it's all pop and rap country, and I don't know. I think it's all cool. I think that it's just part of the way the country world is going now for music. Is that's what it is.
Does it ever bother you? Like, some people are like real hardcore country, and they're like, I want George Strait back and Alan Jackson, and I'm sick of all this new, like, kind of hip hop / country / whatever. Does it bother you at all, or are you just like that? Like, are you just kind of happy that people are making cool music?
Well, I don't want to comment too much because I have my personal opinions on what I think, but
well, do you like it?
I would put it this way: I'll take Alan Jackson and George Strait back
any day
to be on the radio more
Okay.
And that's all I'll say right now. But
Okay.
that's just, yeah.
Yeah, because I know some people have really strong opinions about that. And I used to be more that way. I was like, I want that old country style. I want that back. It's almost like the Western music, right? But it's changing so much, and it's kind of fun too. And I have I have teenage kids, and so they're playing everything. In fact, a lot of my playlists for my workouts, it'll be like country, and then I'll have some pop stuff. And it's like, just get my kids to make it for me. Like my daughter makes
Yeah.
all my playlists because she's got time to be on there. And so it's pretty cool. But yeah, I love it. So, okay, I wanted to ask you a little bit about obstacles, though, because right now people are listening and they're like, oh, Tyler, like he's playing music and this is also great. But like, it obviously wasn't a smooth ride, right? And there's still things that you're trying to get to. What are some obstacles that you've had to go through in your life, maybe as a young person, maybe now? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I guess one of the big ones was when I lived in Spruce Grove. My parents divorced there. So what happened was his dad went this way, mom went this way. Mom came back to the hometown where she's from, Edson. So we had to leave at a young age, leave all my friends, come to Edson and join a small community, which is very hard. Very tight knit, cliquey, right? And you're the city kid that just came in, and right. So it was tough. It was tough to do that move for sure. Music was just getting started, right? So that wasn't a huge remedy for me to use to help with whatever. I think any kid goes through a divorce. It's never easy. You were once in a place that you knew that, and it was familiar, and then now you're having to adjust and get somewhere else. So that was hard. We're a pretty strong family. We got through it, and life couldn't be better than it is right now. But that was definitely hard for sure, right? I had to come moving to Edson was a hard move. It was very, very hard to get in the circle and meet people, and it took a couple schools for me to find my place.
Okay.
And but other than that, though, I mean, it got good. I found my people, I found my crowd, and then once I started getting that confidence, then I started hitting the music more. Music brought me up, and there were struggles in the music. Trying to get where I am today in music too. There was lots of struggles and working hard and trying to figure out how to do it right. But I think for personal experiences, the hardest thing it was a divorce because, my dad or my biological father will say he was so involved in my life with everything, right? Hockey. And then he kind of was just up and gone, right? Like we'd go and see him still, but the contact was kind of slipping, right? So you go play a show with your band or something and your dad's not there, right? You're thinking he's going to be there. And it's, so that was kind of tough, right? Mom was always there. Mom was good. And my stepdad now, who I refer to as my dad now, amazing man, completely changed our whole lives. And so we were fortunate enough to have that, me and my sister. So I think other than that, that was those were some of the things that were hard to deal with as a young kid to, you expect to see something and it's not there, right? Or something that you once had, but you're learning to move on to find something new, or maybe there's something better, or maybe you just need to find your place. And that's stuff like that, I guess I could say.
Yeah. Would you say that it was almost like, because it sounds like, okay, so now your parents aren't together anymore, so that's an adjustment. But now you're moving to a completely different place, going to a different school. That's a huge adjustment too. And now,
sure.
There's a lot going on there. Do you think, how do you think that impacted you? Do you think that you have any sort of ripple effects right now? Or do you feel like at your point right now, you're like, you know what, I think everything's okay?
No, everything's good. Actually, I wouldn't take anything back. Any experiences I had, negative or positive. I think any of the negative stuff with moving to a school or trying to fit in or try to do that was all part of a learning curve for me. It made me stronger. It made me more confident. It made me want to pursue things different. I didn't need to be like everybody else. And too, played hockey my whole life too, right? But music was where I excelled, and that's where I stayed there. Didn't let anyone cut it down. I didn't let anybody say, well, and now you get made fun of lots. When I had my kid band, we'll call it, we were made fun of tons, but we didn't stop. We never screw these guys, right? Like, we're going to keep doing this and we're going to keep playing. And so I think all that kind of stuff when I was growing up with that, just, it made me a stronger person. Cause I'm a very sensitive person. I care what people think, but like to a point, but it's made me now just kind of be like, whatever, dude. I'm just gonna keep rocking and keep doing what I'm gonna do, and it has worked out. It has worked out because I'm still doing it, and I'm not upset with my life right now or where I am.
Okay.
And the whole process of getting there. So
why do you think people made fun of you with music? Was it because they didn't think you were good at it, or they just thought it was kind of a silly thing to do? Like, do you know what was the main thing?
I think it's just young kids and immaturity. Right?
Okay.
They don't. That would be my guess. Or maybe one guy tried playing a guitar and he couldn't play the guitar and said, to hell with this Tyler guy. He can just play.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what it would have been. Or maybe because it was something different. It wasn't happening. There wasn't bands out of school, right? Like there wasn't, yeah. And I was playing hockey too, right?
Yeah.
Like I was missing hockey games to go play a show. It's like, right? So you could see where I wanted to be, where my heart was.
Yeah.
Why are you missing the hockey game, Tyler? Well, because I'm going to go play drums and find a girlfriend there or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Did that work out for you, Tyler? Did you find a girlfriend at the shows?
Probably scared him a little bit, maybe when I was there playing the loud guitar, but yeah. Got to hang out with a few anyway. It was good.
Got a little bit of attention, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Like I have a son who, like, he used to just tap all the time on the table. Tap, tap, tap. I'm like, eat your food, stop tapping, and just tap all the time. And so finally I was like, okay, this kid, when he's tapping, he actually has some rhythm. So I'm like, what the heck? Like, let's put him in drum lessons before he drives us all insane. So we put him in drum lessons, and it was just like, boom, like he just loves it. It's his deal. And like, yeah, it's incredible. Perfect. And I just feel like when somebody has that gift, when it's in you, it's like you have to get it out. Like it's going to get out one way or another. What does it do for you though? Like, is it sort of like that creative piece? Like how does that, you talked about music as kind of soothing. How does that process work? Like when you're stressed, for example, do you go and like play music, start listening to music? Like how does that kind of soothe or help you in your life?
Well, if I'm stressed out or there's something wrong, and I have, not all the time I have a grab my guitar. Sometimes I just hang out and maybe just hide for a bit. But when I grab my guitar when I'm stressed, which I have on multiple occasions, when you're playing guitar and you find a melody or you find something that you're playing and it's a great sound, you don't think of it. You don't think of you're in the moment of what you're doing right there. Mm-hmm. So some people say, I go for runs because I'm stressed out.
I do.
Go for runs, right? Carla.
Yeah. I
right?
work out, yeah. So
when you're running, for example, you're stressed, your brain shuts off. You're just running and it's like you're just focused on that run. Mm-hmm. I think that's fair to say, right? I whether it's running, maybe you're going for a walk, maybe you're...
For me, it's my workout. Like if I'm teaching a class, I cannot think of anything else because I'm thinking of the next move. I'm thinking of the next sequence. I'm looking at the people. So it's like there's nothing in my head except for the workout. When I go for a run, it's podcasts and it's music that's playing. But anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
So that right there, what you just said, you can't think of anything else. You're so focused on because that's your craft. Mm-hmm. Remember we talked before, like that's you excel at it. You're so good at it. And when you're in the moment doing it with all the people, your main focus is on your craft, two, the people you're with and all that stuff, right? So when I'm playing guitar, I'm thinking about what my next move is on my fingers for music wise purposes, right? Like, ooh, I'm going to go to this chord now, or, oh, that sounded really good. So if I'm stressed out and I'm doing that, I'm putting positive energy onto that guitar and I'm not using negative energy up here thinking about what's wrong. So and it helps. And then I think the other really cool thing is once I do something like that on the guitar, when I put the guitar down, I'm like, wow, look at the gift. I just got to go and do this. There's a lot of people out there that they don't have things they can just run to get away from stress or anything like that, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's almost a moment of clarity when that guitar goes down. I'm just like, wow, that half an hour of playing just completely refreshed me. Mm. Yeah. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's like stress is only temporary, and unless you don't make it temporary. right?
Yeah, there's ways to deal with it. I think like my only caution would be like I could go for a run or I could do workouts and I could deal with the stress in the moment, but then it's like if it keeps kind of popping up, then it's like, okay, it's time to do some more. Like maybe there's therapy or maybe you need to go talk to a friend or maybe so as long as
Absolutely.
that's the thing. But I think if music or working out or whatever it is, if you can manage it really well that way and you're okay, awesome. Like that's perfect. And so I think what is your I'm curious though. Okay, so I could see kind of what music does for you. But what is your goal? So when you're making music and you're thinking of the listener, maybe you're going to go, to a concert, you're going to perform, or you're just going to like record. What do you hope that your listeners are going to get out of that, Tyler? Is there a certain feeling you want? Is there a certain emotion you want to invoke? Is there, like, are you trying to lift their spirits? Like, what's your goal when you're thinking of that?
I think everything you just said right there.
Okay.
Of course, that's the goal. It's when I write, and most of actually pretty much every song I've written, it's either a personal experience of mine, or it's something that I've seen, or it's something that is real life, or maybe it's happened to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the cool things that I like to do when I write music is make it so that whatever person is listening to it, they can take their own judgment from it, or they can place that song into their life where they think it applies. I don't know if that makes sense. So I might be talking about this, say I'm singing about a girl, right? So somebody could say, oh, I think of my girlfriend that when I'm listening to this, or maybe I think about my mom and dad, or maybe I think about my wife, or even vice versa, right? If it's for men too, whatever. If I'm talking about growing up in a place, so like Edson, for example, well, that person in a small town in Saskatchewan, that he might be able to make that song apply to his hometown. So I try to give that universal touch to any of the stuff that I write, so anybody can put it into whatever makes them happy or makes them think of whatever the song does for them. And then there's songs too that I just write that are personal stuff and telling my story to the world, right? So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
It does. So it's not like every single song you're writing, you're like, I wonder how people are going to respond to this. But sometimes you would write strictly because you need to get something off your chest, maybe, and you just think that it would be cool to get it out there. And maybe other songs you're specifically thinking, like it's both probably most of the time. Like it's helping you, but now it's helping others. Is that
absolutely
accurate? Okay.
That's kind of like that. Yeah. And then, like I said, people that like the song can make that song what they want that song to be, right?
Yeah.
They can make that song their own.
Yes.
By just listening to it.
Yeah.
This is how because every person might have a different approach or a different feel to any piece of music.
Yeah.
This song might make them feel like this in an experience they've had. And this song might make that person feel like this with an experience they've had. So it's kind of all, intertwined like that. And that is my goal when I write. I try to allow the listener to build their own relationship with the song in whichever way they feel. Right.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I think how often of this podcast too, like I'm talking to you, Tyler, you're sharing your story. And some people are going to be like, oh, what he shared about divorce, say, hey, I've experienced that. That resonates with me. I get that. Somebody else is going to be listening to it and they're a musician and they're like, oh, like when he's talking about, going into his room and like playing or whatever, like I totally get that, or somebody that's maybe on the stage and you're talking about the crowds and that the impact, like that's going to resonate with them. And it's going to resonate with people in different ways. And so my goal is to try to help people to some degree with these podcasts. So they're going to listen to you. They're going to get something out of it, just like somebody would listen to your song. And everyone's going to interpret maybe slightly different, use it in a different way, but it will hopefully impact them. And I hope for, in a positive way. That's always my goal.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's why this is such an honor to be on here with you, because I think it's such a great thing that you're doing. Because there's so many people that sometimes they just need to listen to something, or something maybe just clicks in their head where they feel better about it, right? I can do this, or this person's, like you just said, has a mutual experience. And no, I think it's quite amazing. So
thank you. Yeah, and I'm glad that you're here. Can you tell us, Tyler, what is your sort of, 5-year plan? Or do you have goals that you are kind of working towards, maybe with your music or otherwise? Like, where do you kind of want to be maybe in 5 years or in the 3 years or whatever?
I want to be where I'm happy, right? And sometimes that's hard to find. I have worked in so many different job fields since I was in school till now, post-secondary. you've got plans. I had plans for law school, and those plans are still there. I've had plans for, more schooling to do what I want to do. But I don't know. Sometimes it's just finding that. Like, I've worked in the oil field. I've worked on the pipelines. I've worked in the mills. I've worked, right? And I don't really think that I necessarily have found exactly where I want to be. Music will always carry me. Music's going to be there. Sometimes you can't just rely on it. And especially in these times right now, it's not even possible for most musicians to do it. But I mean, for a 5-year plan, my 5-year plan is to get where I want to be, and it takes time. You don't need to rush into it. Mm-hmm. You just need to find, and everybody wants it. Everyone thinks they're slipping, or everybody thinks that I need to do this now. I need this now. Like, oh my gosh, everybody thinks I'm just a bum because I'm on. No, you just time will tell. Time brings things to people, and and half the time stuff comes up when you're not looking for it. And I think that living and just experiencing things, you'll find what you want to do. And I have yet to, I think, reach that point, but I'll get there because I'm determined, and and I have motivation, and I will find that place. But I think for right now, it's just a matter of self-care and finding it, right?
Yeah. Tyler.
So, I mean, a 5-year plan, I couldn't sit here right now on the show and say, this is what I'm going to be doing.
Right.
Great. And maybe if I say what I'm going to do and I'll be doing it, but it'll change in a year again, right? Because maybe it's not what I want to do. So, I mean, the world's full of possibilities. You just got to find your place in the world, what you excel at, what makes you happy. And that should always be a 5-year plan, right?
Yeah. That's well said, Tyler. So tell me, like, how old are you now, Tyler? I don't even know. Do you mind telling us how old you are?
16.
You look about
23.
23. Okay, yeah. So I think what you said, and I think this will resonate with a lot of people, that's exactly where most people in their 20s, early 20s especially, are at. Because you're trying to figure it out. And that's what I keep telling people. Because they're like, people always ask you, like, say if you're in grade 12, right? It's like, oh, what are you going to do when you graduate? Well, somebody who's 17, 18-year-olds, they have no idea what they're going to do when they graduate. They might have a couple of plans, a couple of thoughts. But, like, to be able to say, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? What career are you going to choose? I don't know. I got to experience life first. And so I always say, find things that you can do, find things that you like, and experience as many things as you can when you're in your younger years. And then something will start to, like, it'll resonate with you. You'll suddenly be like, oh, that kind of sticks, right? Like, hey, I like that. And so then you'll do more of that. So I feel like what you just said is exactly what I would assume that somebody your age would say, right? Like,
well, and I mean, that's just it. Like, I went and did a 4-year Bachelor of Arts degree with no clue why I was there. I was just there living, just doing it, right?
Right.
There was obviously plans. Like, I knew why I was there. It was to get the education, to get the degree. But, I mean, I've been out of school now for a year and a half, and that degree has been utilized in some ways, but not necessarily. I mean, anybody listening to this, you can go and do things, and there doesn't have to be just an end goal just like that.
Yeah.
Go do things and experience and live and meet people and smile and go find,
Yeah. Good.
Like I just said, I went and did a 4-year degree, and half the time I was taking classes and saying, oh, I want to go be a lawyer. And like, what's this class for? But I met a really good friend in that class that I still talk to, right? So there's just so much to it. And I think that a lot of us young, or the youth or whatever, they feel a pressure there. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to find this. And then when, they get to 22 or 23 and they're still kind of feel like they're still sitting there. But I think it's because it's not you need to allow yourself as an individual to go find yourself and where you want to be.
Yeah. And the only way to do that is to experience some things,
That's right. And like you said, we talked earlier before too, it's the voices in the head or the people that tell us things, right? And I think there's an expectation that gets put on people in their lives. And, sometimes that expectation doesn't need to follow. Like, you can make your own expectations. Go find what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, because then the more you sit there and you dwell and you stress and you stress and you stress, it just becomes worse. You have to allow yourself, or find that peak where you can just enable yourself to go and just seek out what it is you need to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I went to Bible college for 2 years. Don't regret any of that. That was amazing. I went to U of A for 4 years, got my education degree, major in music, minor in English. What in the heck am I
Mhm.
doing with that degree, Tyler? Am I teaching English or music? No. Am I even like reading books? Not really. Like I listen to podcasts and I listen to Audible because I don't have time to sit and read books. Well, I shouldn't say I don't have time. I could make time, but I hate sitting and reading. Anyways, like, you know what I'm saying? So I read all these books,
Yeah.
I did all this stuff, but now, like I'm doing social media posts, for example. I know my grammar. I know how to write, right? Like that's helpful. My
Yeah.
music, like I can do that in church. I can help my kids with their music because they're learning music and stuff. I can pick cool music and get a sense of rhythm when I'm doing my workout classes. Like nothing
Yeah.
is wasted. Like anything that somebody does, you never want to look back and be like, that was a waste of time. It was not a waste of time. You
There
even
was
said that
something good about it.
even the divorce of your parents, you said you've learned through that. You wouldn't change
Yeah.
anything because it's made you who you are. And I think that's really the message here. It's like you got to find your path, but like nothing is going to be wasted.
No, go live, go see the world, go find your happiness, go like. There's never ever a pressure on you unless you allow a pressure to be on yourself. So, yeah, to anybody out there, just go and live and do it, and just always know that you're. Everybody's got something about them that brings joy to the world, and just
Yeah.
give her,
Yeah.
give her.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. I thank you for saying that. So Tyler, if somebody wants to learn more about you and they're kind of like, "Oh, I want to hear his music," or "I just would like to know what Tyler's up to," or just kind of get to know him a bit more, where's the best place for them to go to do that?
Well, if you want to check out the music, it's on all social media platforms or music platforms. Sorry, so Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, Google Play. I don't know all the apps and everything
Yeah.
there, but I'm a pretty approachable. So maybe some people wouldn't say but I'm always open to meeting anyone, talking to anyone. I'm very social. To get a hold of me, send me a message on Facebook, email me, whatever. Like I say, I like all people. I want to talk to all people, and I think that connections, relationships, socialness is huge for everybody.
Yeah, that's how I connected with you.
So-
I just went on Messenger. I was like, found Tyler, sent you a message,
Like,
and then
who's this weirdo mess? No, I'm kidding. I knew exactly who it was.
yeah, and then I'm like, well, let's get on a call and let's chat a little bit. So
Yeah,
and you
like-
were happy to do it. So yeah, if you guys want to talk to Tyler, send him a message on Facebook. Are you on Instagram too, Tyler, or no?
I am on Instagram.
Okay.
I do have Instagram there. So yeah, message on there, message on Facebook. And, sometimes I'm your ordinary guy. Maybe I'll just be sitting at the pub having a beer. You want to come up? Let's talk. Like,
Yeah.
it's so.
Cool.
And everybody's invited to any shows I play. So make sure you always come out to that. And like I said, I like to talk to everybody, hear everybody's story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
people
so
are good.
things are shut down with COVID, but do you have any ideas for shows coming up, or is that just kind of on hold right now?
It's kind of on hold, like for any like big gathering or kind of a show, like say at
Yeah.
a bar or at a a public event.
Yeah.
The only shows I've been really able to do as of now, have been like small private things,
Right.
like little acoustic shows or whatever.
Okay.
Nothing that I was doing say last year,
Yeah.
where it was constantly, almost every weekend or twice a month I'd be playing a show, right? So
Yeah.
not at the moment right now. I can't send any invites to anybody for anything that's big, but I guess that's become a normal thing now with the way the world is.
But that'll change. That's going to change, Tyler. It's going to change eventually, and then
Yeah.
you'll get back on stage, and then you go ahead and you post on your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever. You tell us where the next shows are, and we'll be there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Thanks so much, Tyler. Really appreciated talking to you, and I'll be following your music and following your life on Facebook and maybe on Instagram too.
Perfect. No, thank you, Carla. This has been amazing, and I can't thank you enough for having me on here.
You're welcome. This episode is brought to you by my company, Power Fitness Online. We are a tight-knit fitness community, and we guide you every step of the way to get fit and stay fit through our live workouts, nutrition coaching, and incredible support team. Go to powerfitnessedson.com to learn more. Thank you for tuning into the podcast today. If you enjoyed it, please leave a positive review on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Music, or wherever you're listening. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, I would love to see your comments. I would love to know what you think about this episode and interact with you. I love hearing from you. Once again, I'm Carla Rand, and this is The Carla Rand Show, and I can't wait to see you next week for our next episode.